A lot of action going on with the Stanley Cup playoffs, but certainly no shortage of action elsewhere around the NHL. We're going to bring you up to speed here on the latest on the fourth period. I'm your host, Kate Pedersen, and Dave Pagnotta joins me to help break all of that down. Dave, let's start in Buffalo. Kevyn Adams, there's talk of them wanting to add some support for him. But what I'm wondering is there going to be additional support added on the ice for this Sabres group?
Yeah, Kevyn Adams is certainly going to be looking to see what additional moves he can make and what other moves he's going to make with respect to the roster going into next season. We already know they've added Eric Stahl as an assistant to Kevyn Adams, and it's no secret now that they're looking to add a veteran executive to the staff as well, either in a senior advisor role or in some other fashion with some other title, but looking to add some support for the management brass. And that is going to lead to eventual roster changes that are going to happen in terms of the Sabres looking to add to their roster and possibly moving out some additional pieces. We saw a big move that they made ahead of the trade deadline by shipping out Dylan Cousins, bringing in Josh Norris. Bowen Byram's name is expected to pop up in trade discussions again at some point later this offseason, likely around the draft. That would be my guess. It could prolong into July, but expect to hear Bowen Byram's name out there again in the trade market as the Sabres look to improve. The goal, Kate, next season is to compete for the playoffs. So any of the moves that they make is going to have that in mind.
All right. Well, we've talked a lot over the last few weeks about the NHL's coaching vacancies, and some names have been floated. Marco Sturm, Jeff Blashill, to name a few. Are there any other names that we should be looking out for?
Yeah, this is the time where everybody's starting to interview for different positions. We've heard Adam Foote, former assistant with the Vancouver Canucks, getting some attention as well. There is belief around the NHL that both Kirk Muller and Mitch Love, assistants with the Washington Capitals, will get some consideration once Washington's season is done, whenever that may be. And there are others out there as well that are generating some interest. Bob Bugner being one of them. Derek Lalonde's name is starting to float around as well. Blashill's assistant partner in Tampa, Jeff Halpern, we've talked about him in the past as well. And more names. I had a piece earlier today that illustrates a few of them that are out there as well. And we do know that the Pittsburgh Penguins will be making some additional changes to their coaching staff. That announcement could drop later today.
Okay, well, in New Jersey, GM Tom Fitzgerald, he said, we weren't good enough this year, so expect some moves. Now, what I'm wondering is, are you hearing that these are going to be big moves or more cosmetic, adding some smaller pieces to just beef up the bunch?
It certainly seems, Kate, like New Jersey wants to rejig their bottom six and their intangible pieces to this roster. They've got a number of free agents in the lower level of the roster in terms of depth pieces and quality depth pieces. That looks like that's the area of focus primarily for Tom Fitzgerald in New Jersey. They've got some cap space to play with. They want to be a little bit more physical, add a little bit more grit to the lineup, but also be responsible at both ends. So certainly the anticipation in New Jersey is that they're going to make some moves with that in mind. And hopefully that, coupled with a healthy roster next season, gets them back into what they believe to be cup contention.
All right. Well, you mentioned Pittsburgh already, but today in your column, you wrote about Evgeni Malkin and how next season could be his last in the NHL. Now, if that proves to be correct, does this mean that the Penguins are finally entering a real rebuild stage?
It sounds like it. It sounds like they're now moving into that realm, that next phase of their existence. I guess going back into that model. Obviously, Sidney Crosby's got a couple of years left. We know Chris Letang has several years left on his contract as well. Erik Karlsson, 2 years left. And Gino entering the final year of his contract next season. Talking to people around the league, the belief is that this will be his last year in the National Hockey League. Nothing is set in stone at this point, but it definitely looks like, at least again, speaking to people across the National Hockey League, that is where the whispers are getting louder and louder on, which leads me to believe, in a number of others, that Pittsburgh is going to be moving in towards a full rebuild to a certain extent, with Sidney Crosby in mind. They have some key pieces on this roster. They want to add a little bit to it, but they've already kind of gotten the ball rolling over the last couple of seasons, bringing in some young pieces, bringing in additional draft picks. We'll see if they end up with a second first-round pick this year. They have the option from the New York Rangers, to get the 12th overall pick. New York has 48 hours ahead of the draft to let Pittsburgh know whether they're getting that pick or if they're going to get an unprotected pick in the first round next year. So they're filling up their cupboards a little bit, but with Malkin looking like this will be a farewell tour for him next season, as well as the strong possibility that the Penguins are going to look to trade Erik Karlsson this offseason as well. It looks like next steps are now evolving within the Pittsburgh Penguins organization.
All right, well, we'll keep an eye on all of it over the coming weeks. We've got a lot of action in the NHL, and of course, our playoff coverage will continue here on the fourth period as well. Dave, thanks so much for this, and thank you to everyone for watching. It's the latest on the fourth period.